It's hard not to be a fan of a credit card that gives you more while saving you money every single day. The Illini Visa Rewards Card, available only through U of I Community Credit Union.
Welcome back to the Thursday walkthrough. Martin O'Donnell here with Coach Lovie Smith. Coach, heading here into the final 3 games, what did you learn about your team in the third quarter of the season?
Well, every situation, of course, is a little bit different. We've talked about starting fast, but it always comes down to the finish. We had a great week of practice last week, and what you want to see improvement each week. We've seen that. This late in the year, you want to see a complete game as much as anything. No matter what, you want to be able to finish the game a certain way, and that's what we saw. It was easy when you had that defensively, when you have 100 plays. Just think about that. And you being a lineman, think about leaning on someone in DeJuan Smoot's case for 90 plays. But what we found is our team had as much energy at the end of the game as they did to start the game, and that's exciting for a coach.
And now, sitting here, we've talked a lot about some of the young guys that have made progress over the course of the season, but how about some of those seniors? You mentioned DeJuan Smoot, Carroll Phillips, having those 2 guys in the defensive line, obviously making their presence felt last week against Michigan State, but then also having Hardy Nickerson at middle linebacker. What have they been bringing to the team on a week-to-week basis?
Just showing up each day. When you say on a daily basis, it's the same thing we've been getting. These guys, you mentioned Hardy Nickerson. I think he's one of the leaders in the Big Ten. Carroll Phillips, one of the leaders. Sacks, tackle for losses, and the same for DeJuan Smoot. But those guys come to work the same day. They deserve to play well on the weekends. You could say the same thing for Joe Spencer, Austin Smith. These guys, when you've gone through it as a young player and you figure out exactly how to prepare to play well on the weekend, you want to see success for them at the end, and that's what we're getting.
Well, and how important is it for the young guys that are playing an awful lot, to see how those upperclassmen and seniors put in the work every day?
Well, it's very important. Of course, they're leaving their legacy, which is a certain way, but helping our program, they're setting an example. Young players look, they hear you a little bit, but they want to see. And they see this on a daily basis, how these seniors prepare, how hard they work on the off season, daily, as I said. That's why we're seeing so much improvement, I think, from our young players, like Stanley Green. I think we started 5 freshmen on the defensive side this past week. They're playing better based on those seniors.
Well, another week in the Big Ten, another road game, and another road game against a top 10 team in the country. What are some of the things you think this team took from the experience at Michigan a few weeks ago, another top 10 team, that they can use at Camp Randall against Wisconsin?
Well, I think every situation you go through helps you later on when you go through the same situation. Stadium-wise, Camp Randall is a tough place to play. Simple as that. Nebraska was too. Of course, Michigan. We've been to some places where have a lot of fans that are passionate about their team. Also, as you just look at one of the best teams, when you're a top 10 team, our guys have played Nebraska, Michigan. So we saw then that we could play, with the better teams in the country. So that should definitely help us this week.
Well, and Wisconsin, obviously, being a top 10 team, it's a very good team, but really the defense seems to be driving them. And one of the things that they do that's a little bit different that Illinois hasn't seen that much this year would be, they kind of 2-gap their defensive linemen. So what kind of, how is that different offensively? What kind of, not necessarily adjustments, but how is that different for an offense to go against a 2-gapping defensive lineman versus a 1-gapping defensive lineman like we play here at Illinois?
Well, it's definitely different train of thought. 2-gap teams, normally you have bigger linemen up front, and it's exactly what the description says. You ask your guys up front to be responsible for 2 gaps, and the linebackers play off of that. It can be tough if your offensive line, of course, can't get movement. Our train of thought, of course, we have single gap. We play with smaller guys, so bigger, stronger guys as opposed to more athletic guys. But what you have to do is just still stay with your same plan. Doesn't matter whether it's a 2-gap team or single gap teams. We have to be able to run the football no matter what.
Well, and what do you hope to see here in the fourth quarter of the season from the team? I mean, what are your expectations? Well,
the expectations started last week with 4 games left in our regular season. I felt like we needed to win out, simple as that. To win out, you had to win last week. Same speech this week. Playing another good football team in the Big Ten Conference. We need to play 60 minutes of unbelievable ball. We want to be spent at the end of the game. We know what type of physical football game this will be. And the only way to be able to do that, to finish the right way, is to have an excellent week of practice. Can't wait to get on the field.
Play 60 minutes, right?
That's what it's always about.
All right. Well, Coach, thank you for your time, and thanks for stopping by the Thursday walkthrough.